Alrighty, welcome to another episode of Creatives on Business. My name is Henry Marsh, and it is my job to chat to a bunch of amazing creative people and learn how they run their businesses from the passions that they started with. My guest across from me is a corporate events, sports photographer, and just general badassery, Anthony Churchyard. Welcome to the show, man. What's up?
Thanks, Henry. Yeah.
Thanks for pulling in, dude. We've known each other for a while. We actually do quite a lot of work together, and I think it looked a little bit like a bit of a drug deal going on when we started off here. Like you pulling out things in your bag to give to me, and Marco, the producer back there, he's like, "What the hell is going on?"
Here's your gifts, Henry.
All this free exposure I'm giving you, Ant, for being on the show.
Yeah.
So, Ant, for all the people out there who don't know, who is Anthony Churchyard?
You're on the spot.
I mean,
I think the best way to describe myself is that I'm a photographer like yourself. I do a lot of corporate work, mostly for agencies. I enjoy and have a passion for sports. So I shoot a lot of mountain biking, trail running, all kinds of active stuff, and we'll shoot for various brands involved with that. But essentially, most of my work is corporate. It involves around getting a brief and nailing that brief so that clients can use it to either do PR, advertising, or social media along those lines.
But what people don't know about you is that you also do a little bit more video. You're more of a hybrid than just photographer. You're like both.
Yeah, only recently, only like in the last year or two have I really pushed to be a hybrid. It's kind of a weird even term to say because I feel like, am I a superhero or am I just kind of like a weirdo? I don't know where I fall in.
A transformer.
Yeah, transformer. And a part of me actually even doesn't want to tell clients that I can do both because then they expect it. They expect both in the same hour. And you're like, yeah, totally plausible, but definitely not. But yeah, I'm a hybrid. I can do both photo and video. I'm comfortable with both. I don't enjoy video editing just because of the time in front of a computer. I will probably get to discussing time at some point during this conversation, but I'm quite protective of time. And so if I'm sitting for hours on end trying to edit, I'd rather pay someone else to do that.
So you just mentioned now like the expectation of like video and photography. Like, do you find yourself often having to manage a client's expectation?
Oh yeah, 100%. If anything, that's like 90% of my job is actually handling clients' expectations, because they'll come in with this idea of saying, oh, we want to do this and this is what we want to accomplish, and we've only got like 30 minutes. And you're like, well, to be honest, 30 minutes is not actually enough time. Let's like give ourselves more time. And it's that communication of what you're wanting to attain and how to attain it. And we've had many discussions about that. But yeah, it's handling clients' expectations, either kind of pushing back and saying not accomplishable, or kind of just giving them two more options and saying this is kind of the basis. And then giving them two more options because their costs can't afford the first two options,
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the time it's actually just trying to figure out what clients really want, because they'll say, I want photos. And you're like, cool. What photos are you wanting? What do you really want to use these photos for? Because if you're saying we want a billboard, but we want this billboard photo shot at an event, let's just be real, because the reality of accomplishing that task is very minimal. But it's that conversation. Luckily for me, most of my clients are agencies, and so they're more clued up than most clients, and they've already done a lot of that backwards and forwards with their clients, and then have come to me and said, can we do this at a reasonable price, kind of thing.
Okay, so I'm going to get back into all of this just now, but I want to start a little bit more at the beginning. You weren't always a photographer. What did you do before this?
So I studied IMM marketing management, and while I was studying it, I had a camera. And so
a useful thing to have.
Yeah, useful thing to have. I bought one. I don't know if you want to hear that full story, but I feel like it's too long for this. But I had a camera. I'd bought a digital camera, and my varsity offered me a retainer to take photos for the varsity, which at that time was more money than I was getting as a promotions guy. And I was like, yes, please. Yeah. And so I did that. It was 2 or 3 or 4 jobs a month for a certain amount of money. And I loved it. And that also gave me a bit of confidence to kind of grow not only my kit, but to grow my skill. And then I got some bigger projects and I got new clients and I kind of grew in that space. And when I finished Varsity, which was now, I'd done my IM in marketing management, I'm essentially a marketer. I started looking for jobs and struggled for two reasons. One, I only did the diploma, not the degree. And most companies won't touch you unless you've got a degree. And two, on the basis there's not a lot happening out there in terms of marketing, not a lot of movement. So if you've got a marketing job, you're not leaving it right now. So not a lot of movement. So there wasn't a lot of actual ask in the market for marketers. So I was filling the space in terms of earning money with my photography. I didn't want to be a full-time photographer. I was denying the fact that I wanted to, that I'd be a full-time photographer. And then essentially I ran out of money and moved back to my parents' house, which was a big ego knock. This is 6 years ago now, I think. And then someone offered me a job doing sales, which to me, sales is not marketing. I want to do marketing. Big ideas, big budget, big accomplishments. But I think the sales job was probably one of the best things to happen in my life, was to understand that face-to-face, you want this product thing. So at the time, it was a pepper spray company. Yay. Which, but it was great because I believed in the product. I still do. I carry one all the time, in the fact that this country is not a wonderful place, but a beautiful country, but not always a safe place. But anyway, it really hit home in the fact that sales is so important, of going to someone saying, do you want this product? Them saying no, and you having to go home and process why did they say no. Because they actually do want this product. It's just the fact that I've sold it wrong. And I'd go and you'd go back to the same person, or you'd try a different technique or whatever. And I got good at it. And I started enjoying what I was doing. While that was happening, I was still photographing. But I at least was moved back out of my parents' house. We kind of at that point had met my wife, but we weren't married. And I got incentive on the fact that I want to marry this girl. I need to start earning money. And my photography and the sales job was kind of going hand in hand. And just after we got married in August, in November, I got my first big agency. And they gave me 2 video jobs back to back. Now, I, at that time, didn't do video at all. So I pulled in a guy who was brilliant at it. They were so happy with the work, they gave us more jobs. And I'm now sitting on the fence going, I've got so much photography, videography work that I'm not actually able to do my sales job. And so it was like a mutual resign thing, that the pepper spray company didn't need me anymore, and they were going a different direction, and I was full-time now going photography. And it was a big question with my wife, can we afford this? And it's 4.5 years later. Obviously I earn more now than I did back then. But the ability to take the risk and to grow the business over time has been great. But I think if I had said 6 years or 7 years ago, I'm a full-time photographer, I would have failed dramatically. There's a lot of stuff that I learned over that sales job. And even meeting my wife was so important in terms of now growing this business over the last 4.5 years.
Did you, with the photography, you sound like you picked it up and you were just learning off the bat. Did you ever have anyone that you were learning from? Like, was it online courses, or were you just going out and shooting and figuring out how it works? Yeah,
so I'm pretty much self-taught. A little bit of YouTube, a couple of 1950s books, that my great-grandfather had, that you read through and make no sense because it doesn't cross over from film to digital. Yeah. But mostly self-taught. There was a couple of times where I'd meet with like-minded people and kind of grab some new techniques. YouTube's great in the fact that you can Google a lot and kind of like, well, what does flash photography do? What does, high sync speed do? All these different techniques. I think big thing for me was at the time was kind of like starting on a basic camera. I upgraded my camera, but didn't upgrade my lenses. And then I upgraded my flash, made a big difference to my photos. Well, I got a flash. I didn't have an external flash. made a big difference to my photos, upgraded my lenses, which made a big difference to my photos, and then even went to the fact of remote flash, and that even made my photos go even further. But all of this was kind of like, oh, remote, okay, that's that. Can I afford it? Look at prices, practicality, is it worth it? No. And now both of us kind of like, we need multiple remote flashes because otherwise we feel naked,
I think you need to speak for yourself there. I'm quite content to be in the beaches of Cape Town without a flash and feel pretty clothed. Thank you very much. That's hilarious. So obviously the sales part of your job, doing the sales job helped you a lot with the photography. Do you find you rely on those skills a lot even now, 6 years later?
Yeah, 4.5 years later, but yes, 100%. Clients contact me daily, and it's just that personal communication with the person of saying, what do you want? How can I help you? Let's package this together so it sounds good, and then now the execution. Because once you've got the gig, unless you completely stuff it up, which hopefully you're not going to do, you've got the gig. Only once or twice do you have a gig cancel on you last minute, and it's normally because of a client error, not because of your sales. You've got the gig, you're booked, the date is happening, and then all of a sudden, something happens. That's client. You have done what you're needing to do. Now, it's afterwards you've got to deliver the product, which, again, make sure it looks good, that they're happy with the quality. Feedback's great. I 2 years ago asked all of my clients, which were most of them my agencies, to send me a what's the right word for it?
Critique?
Not a critique.
Feedback, testimonial.
And it was good to hear the testimonial, because not always do your clients kind of give you a testimonial. And it's good to see why they enjoy working with you. And they're not always going to go and say, we love Anthony's photos. Anthony's photos are the best in the world. I don't think my testimonials say that. What they say is, we love working with Anthony. He goes the extra mile. He always is willing to take these crazy briefs and make them a reality. That kind of stuff is great, because that's what I'm good at. And that's where my business essentially goes. It's not, I love producing a good photo, don't get me wrong. And we talk about that often, about the quality of our images. But my clients aren't phoning me because of my images. The images they expect now, that's the standard set. They're calling me because they've got something they want to accomplish, and Anthony's the guy who's going to make it a reality. And it's a little bit of having multiple hats. This is my sales hat, trying to get the job. This is my on-site hat, making the client feel like they're the most amazing person on the planet. And then this is my after the product hat, which is kind of like, here's your invoice.
The debt collector, collector hat.
Yeah, that's a whole different hat.
How far do you go in fostering those relationships with your clients? Because it sounds like a lot of people are just hiring you for you. They're hiring Anthony, and they're not hiring a photographer.
Yeah, and I'd love to say that I do foster it. I don't know, to be honest. I'm an extrovert, so it's naturally normal for me to communicate with people. But I think the catch there is, at one point I had met someone. Can I mention names?
Go for it. Yeah. I've had billions of brands being thrown across this.
And not because it's important. The brands are important, just because of the way it worked out. I shoot sports. I went and shot some wakeboarding. The guy that I was shooting in the wake skating kind of wakeboarding space was sponsored by Skull Candy. I shot some stuff of him. They kind of offered me some product in exchange for some photos. 8 years later, I shot commercial work for them. 8 years later. And I kept relationship with them for 8 years. I didn't get product from them. I just kept in touch. How are you guys doing? 8 years later, they called me and said, hey, Anthony, we feel like you're the right person for this job. And the thing about relationship is not always expecting something in return. It's about maintaining that relationship, irrelevant of they're hiring you for work or not. Because if I got upset every time one of my clients hired another photographer, I'm going to be upset all the time. Whereas I want that work. I want it to come my way. How do I now put myself in the right place that one of two things happens. So either that I'm the right person for the job, or that my product comes across right. Now, there's people I get work from that I've never met before. They're like, so-and-so has referred you. They say that you're amazing, and we're excited to work with you. This is a new client. I now have 90% of the sales is already done because someone's mentioned my name. The 10% that needs to happen is this communication of who I am, how I work, what I can do for you. I do that 10% as quickly as possible, trying to get hopefully face-to-face, but most of the time just over a phone or an email. And then now it's making that job happen and delivering a top-notch product. And now hopefully I've got a client for life. Because once you've done that decent job, any job from there on, you want to have. It doesn't guarantee it, but you want to have. And part of that is the follow-up email. That event was great. Thank you very much. When's your next event? How can I help you with anything? Do you have anything in the pipeline that I can kind of help groom? And sometimes they're like, yes. Sometimes they're like, we'll let you know. And I've had many clients let you know and you never hear from them. And then I've had great clients that call me back again and again and again and again. I hope this table's not echoing too much. I feel like I'm...
No, you should be fine. So right at the start, we were chatting about sort of that process of handling clients' expectations. So you get a client that phones you and says, we want to do X, Y, Z. Do you from the onset say, yes, this is possible, no, this is not possible? Well, how do you go about it? What's your process?
I think the first thing to do is go say anything's possible, and then to kind of work backwards from that of, can I do it? Because I think just 3 weeks ago, I had a client. I was already booked for an event, and the client called me and said, by the way, same event, but we need to film another whole segment. So 2 different briefs now. Can you do it? And straight off the bat, and it's a day before the event, I said, no, I can't. And the problem is that I'd love to have brought another teammate in and had them do the second brief, but I didn't have time to now pull someone in, brief them, and now monitor that product's up to standard. And so I hate saying no to clients. I hate it. But in that case, I wasn't wrong. Client came to me on the day and said they're very glad that they went with an option 2 and that I'd said no to them because they definitely I wouldn't have been able to do 2 things at once. Both projects were too big. So yeah, expectations. I think some clients are like, we want. I don't know how to kind of give you examples, but yeah, the best. Sometimes saying no is the best thing. Sometimes it's just kind of taking their big grand idea and chopping it down a little bit to kind of go. Even now, I pitched for a job last week. It's supposed to be a 2-man team. The brief was this X, Y, and Z. And I looked at it and we chatted about it, and I said, actually, there's just too much here for 2 people. If we do this, we can do it, but we're going to be dropping the quality. So if you're wanting to attain that higher quality, let's go for a 3-man team. Let's bring in an extra person. Let's make this a reality. And then the client has to actually come to the ball game too, because they've got to say, well, yes, we've got the budget for a 3rd person, or they're going to say no, 2 people, but we still want the same quality, and you're going to have to now figure that out because it's a difficult push. I find that, and again, it's agencies. I love dealing with agencies because they understand what's attainable. They'll come and say, all right, cool, we want you for 4 days, how much? And you go and you give them a price, and they're like, oh, we only have a budget of this. And it's like, well, cut off a day. And they're like, yeah, that's a great idea. And they cut off a day. Instead of asking you to drop your price, they're cutting off the amount of days. And that I love those clients. They're great. I'm still willing to negotiate and work that business, wheel and deal kind of sales thing. I don't think that you should work in the mindset of this is my price, take it or leave it. I feel like you'll end up losing clients. But you also can't cut yourself short where you are getting peanuts for what is essentially your skill and business.
We've recently had conversations about agencies and agents, and you were telling me recently I need to get an agent. Do you feel like there's a big difference between working for an agency as opposed to just how normal photographers may or may not operate?
100%. So let's take your wedding work, for instance, all right? You get a wedding, booked, you've put in all the effort, so forth, so forth. You do the wedding. Now you need 6 to 12 more weddings this year. You have to go find those clients yourself and that work yourself. You have to push out the marketing, Facebook photos, online social media sales, whatever. I get a phone call from an agency saying this is what we need to attain. I do the job. They are constantly looking for more work so that they're making money. And because they're getting more work, they're sending work my way. And so they're keeping me busy. And I'm constantly calling them, but I'm not having to look for new clients. Now, don't get me wrong. New clients are super important. I'm constantly looking for new clients, but I'm mostly looking for new agencies because that's where my business model sits on. I do get phone calls from the odd person that'll say, I'm so-and-so and I have a business and I need this photos. And that's fine. I'll deal with them. But the majority, 95% of my work comes from one agency or another. And I'm a freelancer. I'm not in-house, so I'm not paid a salary to sit at their agency and produce work for them. They call me when they have a project that they need, and then another competing agent can call me and for similar work. The only thing I would comment on is don't have two agencies call you for the same job, because that's called conflict of interest, and essentially someone's going to get bit in the ass there.
So you've obviously just been chatting a lot about agencies and like the workflow around it. So would you say that that's obviously relieved a lot of pressure from being a photographer from when you first started? Because they're obviously actively looking for work and that kind of thing. Has that relieved a lot of pressure on yourself?
So I'm going to take that question a different direction.
Cool.
I hope that is.
Yeah.
I think when I was now doing sales 4 years ago, and I was like, all right, I need to take my business, I need to make profit, I need to figure this out. I saw an opportunity in agencies that I saw like this regularity thing, that if I can get in there, I can get regular work. But what actually made a difference on my pressure on myself was something my wife said to me, and she was like, if you want to make it in the industry that you want to go into, you need 3 months salary saved up. She just made that comment and then walked out the room,
I can actually imagine Emma doing this.
And so I absolutely adore my wife, and I appreciate that comment she made, because I've read plenty kind of business books, Robert Kiyosaki and all the various kind of business books giving you direction. And that comment was like, I know what she's saying, I've read it, and yet doing it is very different. How do you go from earning enough money 1 month, paying your bills, earning enough money 1 month, paying your bills, earning enough money 1 month, pay your bills, running out of money, moving back to your parents' house, to going 3 months of salary saved up? And that's like a big change. I think the first thing I was like, I need to stop spending. I spend way too much money. New lens, I want it. New camera, I want it.
Don't lie, and you're still the same. You still do that.
New pair of shoes, I want it. I am still the same. 100%. I still want things. I just buy less. I take a month, if not 2 months, to kind of process my finances and really, really, really make a good decision. If I don't need this lens now, I can rent it. Why spend 45,000 Rand or whatever? I'm talking about 200. But why spend that money when I can hold out? And I made the comment, I'm holding out for an X body because I'm waiting for the upgrade. So if I have to rent a second body until that body that I want comes out, do that rather than spend 38,000 Rand on another body and then be sitting with money out of pocket. The new body comes out, and then I'm sitting with double, too many cameras and not enough cash. And so it's that fine line between balancing. Craig Gillespie was one of the guys I met with 8 years ago, and he said that to me at the time. He says, just rent the gear that you need to do the job and charge it to your client. He made it sound so simple. He's like, just rent the gear and charge it to your client. And in my mind, I'm going, I'm struggling to get them to pay me. How do I not tell them they must pay me extra for the gear I need? Whereas now, I tell a client, by the way, we need a gimbal, or we need extra lights, or a backdrop, or an assistant, and I put it in that cost estimate, most of the clients just go, okay, done. And it's those different clients. When you're dealing with clients who don't have a lot of money, when you add all those extra things on, they're going, no. When you're dealing with clients who are wanting to get perfection, they're wanting to get the best product they can make, they're willing to put that little bit extra in to accomplish it. They're expecting that. And so two major things was understanding that I need to stop spending and I need to start saving. And then 2 was the basis of paying myself a fixed salary. So instead of going, this month I'm going to spend 5,000 Rand, next month I'm going to spend 10,000 Rand, and then 8, and then 20, and then going all, I said, this is the amount I have to work with. I have to make it last. And so I'd go and I'll make that money last the month. And there's sometimes where and you spend a little bit extra because I need to rent this thing or whatever. But budgeting was so important. So yeah, that I think made more of a difference than getting the agency work. That was around the same time. But my wife saying save up 3 months took off the pressure, because I have bad months in a year. I previously, in the last 3 years, have always had one whole month in July, which I earn half my target. I call it a target. And then in December, I was earning none of my target. So 2 months in a year, I was earning no money. But I was making enough in the 10 months to cover those 2 months. Now I'm actually getting most months booked. I'll meet my target most months. If anything, now I'm having to book time off, because not that I don't have work, I need to make sure that I'm resting, that I'm taking a week here or a week there to go and now actually rest. And as you know, we work weird weeks, we work weird hours, and to kind of sync that up with my wife who works for an employer, we have to now take leave for her, and I've got to book leave and make alternative plans so that in case a client calls, or if I've already got bookings, that someone else is covering those bookings, so on and so on.
You reference your wife quite a lot, and obviously, I mean, she's a large part of your life. How do you balance this? People always speak about the work-life balance. How do you balance your freelance lifestyle to your wife's normal 9 to 5? How do you guys manage that?
I think we might have to ask her.
Next time on Creatives on Business.
No, I think as I said, I'm an extrovert and ADHD, so this whole organized chaos is fine with me. I'm pretty okay with it. Client can call me today and I'll go shoot tomorrow, no problem. But within that now, and getting married, and my wife having a structured, she works a half day, 9 to 1 or 8 to 1. And my chaos, and then having a daughter in that too, who has to be picked up from school, we need to set parameters and structure. And so I started kind of like, if a client called me today and said, can you do it tomorrow? I've actually got to weigh up what that does to my family. And if I can do it, I'll go do it. But if it's going to detriment me and my family and the time that I'm protecting, I then send other people. And I think that was also a strategy 4 years ago when I said I got my first agency job and I brought in a videographer to do the job for me. It was recognizing that I have skill, but there's other people who have skills too, and let's work together to accomplish tasks, versus me saying, no, I'm a one-man team. My skill is the only skill necessary to accomplish this task. I am no superhero. I am not going to be able to do everything I can. And we've personally worked on projects together where I brought you in for a commercial work because I said, my lighting is like here, and then Henry's lighting is like there. And I'm like, I want Henry on this job because I'm recognizing my own weaknesses and also playing to other people's strengths and using them as my own. And then that's my strategy. I don't know what more to say, and I could go to gaming references when you're playing in a 4-a-side, and anyway.
Have you always been this way? Have you always thought about yourself as like within a team and the gaming references? Has it always been like that, or is that like a new thing?
I think that was like I think 4 years ago, like I came to the realization that if I want to certain things I'm just never going to be able to do. Video editing, I could put in 10,000 hours, I'm still not going to enjoy it. And I'll be good at it, but will I be great? Whereas, and juggling, like I'm never going to get juggling right. I just never. Give me 3 balls, 6 balls, I'm never going to get it right. But there's some people who can juggle. So if my client says, we want a juggler, I'm not going to go and say, sure, I'll learn. I'm going to go and find a juggler, bring them in and say, let's get this job done. And then make the client think that I'm brilliant because I found a juggler. I kind of lost my thought process there a little bit, but I wanted to say that I wanted to tell you a story about the day my daughter was born. So we knew we were due for in that kind of time period. My wife was overdue by a week, and so like baby's due. I've got 3 days of shooting for a corporate. I've called and another shoot at another corporate. So I've called in friends and I'm like, or colleagues, and I said, guys, I need you to cover this, this, and this. If I get called, if I get no call, then I'm going to be shooting. We literally went to the midwife in the morning, came home, I went off to work. My wife went and picked up my new lens from Sony, came back. She picked me up from work at 8 o'clock. I got home, I said, hey, clients going out for drinks, can I join them? And she said, no. I'm like, why? She's like, your baby's coming. I was like, okay. Call all the guys. Can you cover this event? Can you cover that event? We arrived at the hospital 5 a.m. the next morning. Baby was born, or Maya was born by 7:30. Spent most of the day at hospital. Went home and had a nap at 2. Went back to the hospital at 4. And then I went and relieved the guy who was covering me from 8 in the morning. He did till 5 in the afternoon. So he'd already done an 8-hour shift. And there was still another 4 or 5 hour shift in the evening. And I went and shot that 4 to 5 hour shift in the evening, the day my daughter was born. And then there was still the next day to shoot, which again, that other guy covered for me. And while that was all happening, there was another shoot happening at a different location, which I was managing. So while my daughter was born, I was the same day my daughter was born, not while. Very in the moment when it was the moment. While that day that my daughter was born, I was still managing projects from like the hospital bed, kind of like managing this project. Are you all right? Are you all right? Okay, good, go for it. Let me know if you have any problems, kind of thing. Which probably, if I were to think about it, I wouldn't do again. I'd let them like just pay the guys and take the day off and not have to stress about it. But in the same breath, it was great to know that I had guys covering work for me, that I could be there for my daughter's birth and then still go work that night, and still have guys covering other work. And it was great to be part of a team, because as an individual, I think I would have freaked out. Oh my gosh, I have a baby coming today and I have no one to cover my work. Who do I phone? Who do I trust? Whereas that trust base is already built. I'm building the team. I'm an individual. My clients hire me, but I still have backup options because life is crazy and uncertain, and I could fall sick tomorrow. And that has taken a lot of weight off my shoulders, in the fact that it's not me on my own, that I can utilize other people. Yes, I'll make less money, but it's that stress ratio. Because if all we're doing is trying to make money, then we're not enjoying life. Whereas I'm trying to make money, don't get me wrong, I want to pay my bills. I'm not working for exposure. But I recognize that money is just a tool to pay the bills. Life is about more than that.
Would you say that, obviously, I mean, so family is clearly and obviously a big part of your life. Has your outlook on the photography changed since then as well? I remember having a conversation with you, must have been a year or 2 years ago, where you used to do a lot of work for an alcohol brand, and then you stopped doing that. Does your mind shift because of the family thing in terms of the work that you take on?
I think definitely. I think I was thinking about the alcohol thing on the way here. I was like, those guys who are like starting off and they're looking for work. And we've both done this, so I know I can make this comment. And the fact that back then, 5-6 years ago, I'd shoot every event that came my way, and I'd shoot all of it. And so you'd get to a club at 12 at night and shoot till 4 in the morning and get home and look broken. And I was, it was for peanuts. It was big money then, but it's peanuts in retrospect. Whereas now I probably wouldn't touch it. Like if someone said to me, we want you to shoot from midnight to 4 in the morning, I'm going to like, guys, it's like quadruple the price, you know, just because you have to keep me up after midnight. But yes, 100%. Family does change your perspective on what you want to do. The two things I say I don't shoot are weddings and babies. So, you know, if you're looking for a baby photographer, I'm not the right person. But I changed my work coming in to fit the lifestyle I wanted. I wanted more weekends back because I wanted to spend time with my wife because she's working a normal job, and so she has weekends off. And so that meant I had to shoot less or no weddings. I now shoot no weddings because weddings are on weekends. There's very few, if none, weekends are during the week. Corporates, I can do 3 or 4 corporates during the week because so-and-so is doing a launch, so-and-so is doing a conference, so-and-so is wanting advertising photography, you know. So I changed what work I wanted to fit the lifestyle I wanted. And so alcohol did go out the window. Not that I don't like alcohol. I just, at that time, that if it meant late nights and big drinking, I just didn't fit my kind of goal in life.
How do you go about then changing, you know, and going for different clients? You know, how do you sort of, you know, you've made the shift now, so from saying you want to shoot less of this kind of thing, you want to shoot more of that kind of thing. How do you transition into doing that?
I feel like I want to say it in one word, but I'm going to probably say it in like 30. It's just portfolio. I think, and I was also again thinking about this morning, and we've had many a discussion about it. If you currently are shooting babies, all you baby photographers, we love you, but I'm just using you as an example. You're currently shooting babies, but you want to shoot supermodels. Let them grow 18 years. I'm just teasing. You need to change your portfolio. You need to go and say, here's my portfolio. I need to shoot some free / some collab work to get my portfolio into a space, and then I need to actually start selling that product. And again, coming down to sales, going and saying, don't use other people's work to sell your product. All right, get your product there. The only time I would say use someone else's work to sell your product, if it's like now me with a videographer, I don't have a portfolio for that specific thing. I now use that specific videographer's portfolio to get the product.
But then you're going to be using him for the job.
Him for the job. So I've got permission from him to use his portfolio or his show reel to pitch for a specific job, and I just recently did that. And that now means I'm selling someone else's product, but they're aware that I'm selling their product. But in this case, what I'm saying is shoot some models, get the model stuff, it's your work, and then you sell it. If you are taking someone else's model stuff and saying, I can make this, but it's not your photo, you're selling a lie. It's like me going and saying, Henry, here's a photo of some shoes. Would you like to buy them? And you're going and saying, but okay, where are the shoes? No, I'll get them once you buy the shoes. So I'm like pre-selling a product I don't have. Anyway, that's a digression. But portfolio, 100%. If I want to go shoot, I'd love to go shoot more advertising athletes and like athletes for commercial work. I need to go shoot athletes all the time to now get my portfolio built up to the space of accomplishing that. I shoot a lot of events, you know this, and we work together on a lot of events. I want to shoot more advertising, so I need to go actually shoot more advertising, whether it be for money or for portfolio. I need to actually shoot that level of work till I'm confident in it, and then I'm going to go take that confidence and sell it. If I'm confident without a portfolio and I want to go try sell it, I'm pretty sure my clients are going to reject me, but try. But it's portfolio, 100%.
How do you manage your time? Because I know you're big on like the airsoft, and you're watching YouTube.
I'm ADHD.
Yeah, literally. I mean, your mind is everywhere. But you're working all the time as well, and then you're managing a family and a little one and that kind of stuff. Is it a conscious thing for you every day where you're like scheduling, blocking out time, or?
I think
And I may be asking this just for myself rather than anybody else, because I'm curious.
We're very different. And so like, I know that Henry gets up at like 5 every morning. Whereas like, if I don't have to be up at 5, I will not be up at 5. If client says I have to be there at 5, I'll be there at 5. But I was processing this yesterday in terms of children like structure, right? Having a schedule helps them to understand the day and give them structure. Saying that I'm a child, But they don't like prison. You will be at the toilet at 6:15. You will be out of bed by 5. You will be reading your book by so forth. Because prison hinders us. Structure gives us the space to grow in. Saying, all right, you need to accomplish so much in a day. Here's some structure to it, because otherwise you're just going to get nothing done. And I think that happens to me quite a bit, is the fact that I'll get nothing done because I forget to put my structure in place. You wake up in the morning and you decide, I'm going to get this much done. I am also ADHD, so I am all over the place all the time. So a client calls me and I say, we need this done. I'll drop everything to get that done. But I'll get everything done. It just might not be in the time period that's kind of like, my wife would say, you could have got it all done today. I said, yeah, but I don't need to get it all done today. I can do so much of it today, and I can do so much of it tomorrow, because I have tomorrow. If I don't have tomorrow, there's lots to be done. Now it's a matter of, can I do it by myself, or do I delegate? Because if I need to delegate, I'll delegate. And take that pressure off of me personally. I'm great at admin. There is zero, I don't know if I can show you, but I have 0 unread emails and 0 unread WhatsApps. So I read every single message, every single email, except for advertising. Your emails go away.
Straight to the trash.
But I'm good at that. I'm constantly on my phone or constantly on my computer. I can edit 1,000 images while watching a series, while replying to emails. Yes, it might take me an hour longer, but in my mind, I'm accomplishing so much. But even though I'm actually just doing 2 things with a distraction. Yeah. But because I need that distraction to actually focus. The distraction helps me hyper-focus. And it's just me personally. Don't do this. It's terrible. It's really not good for you. But there was one point where we were on holiday in Cape Town with my family. And getting calls from clients saying, we need this tomorrow, this, and I had to kind of go, all right, guys, sorry, holiday's on pause, you carry on. I just need 2 hours to do all this admin, work out cost estimates, call clients, call suppliers, and rush this job that's now been dropped on my plate for tomorrow. And by doing that, by separating and saying, you carry on with holiday and me get some work done, I was able to get it done. It wasn't happy about it, but I have to keep the ball rolling in terms of business. And so, as I said, I just go with the flow. I can arrive at an event with a plan. I just wrote an article on Outdoor Photo about having a plan at Cape Epic, which I'll be at in 2 weeks' time. You can have the best plan on the planet, and it'll just absolutely go out the window because the weather's bad, or because the client has thrown another curveball at you, or whatever. So you have to have a plan. Structure is great. Structure gives you a direction. I play beach volleyball, and we always said, if you don't know where the ball is going to, you're just running around. So like that, for those who don't watch beach volleyball, or tennis or soccer or whatever. The concept is you need to know where the ball is going to and which direction you're needing it to go to, so that you can chase after it. Whereas if you're just constantly going, where's this ball going? Where's this ball going? Where's this ball going? You're running around in circles and you're wasting your energy. And so for me, it's about waking up, picking my destination, picking a plan, and then if the plan goes out the window, it goes out the window, but I've still kind of sticking on that direction at least. And if I'm really getting pushed the other way from a client or from the weather, then to go and say, all right, plan B and C.
You mentioned briefly about the interruption on your vacation in Cape Town, and then how you had to put your holiday on pause and deal with that kind of thing. And I think anyone who runs a business, we've all dealt with this kind of thing where we're with a loved one or we're in the movies, whatever it is that we're doing. We literally have to put everything on hold to make the business work. Do you ever feel like there's going to be a time in your life, maybe sometime in the near future or 5 years or 10 years from now, where you're able to go on holiday and just go on holiday?
I think I'd love to say yes. I'd love to say, yeah, I'm on holiday, I'm bored, and I don't have to think about business. But in reality, as, I don't want to say entrepreneurs, but as sole proprietors, as people without a company that's paying me a salary. Even if I had a huge team and a huge agency, and I'm our CEO, I'm going to be stressing about what they're doing. Because I'm on holiday, but it's my baby. It's my company. And if they mess it up, then everything goes out the window. And I think you look at all the best guys in the world, the best CEOs and everything, they've still got a finger in the pulse. Maybe they don't have to keep their hands clasped around it so tight, but they've got a finger on the pulse. They want to just at least keep an eye on what's going on. So as much as I'd like to say I'd love to go on a holiday completely and just be free from it all, I'd probably be bored, because now I feel like I'm disconnected from all that's happening. And I think even if I was, let's say, in a complete dead zone, no signal, no nothing, I'd have plans B and C to cover me while I'm away. Because, and now at that point I am completely off the pulse. I don't know if it'd be great or not. Never had it. Probably will be amazing. You just recently did that trip last year that you completely dead zoned it.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been of the opinion that you always need to have a strong break from whatever it is, especially with the lifestyle that we live, where you and I both have been known to work 3-4 weeks literally every single day without stopping, which is not normal. I mean, normal people who work 9 to 5 don't even do this. And yeah, it was a big thing for me. I try to do it every year, where I go at least a week or 2 weeks where I'm just not even attached to a cell phone in any shape or form. But then again, as you said, you have a structure in place that provides a kind of safety, so that if all the emails that are coming into me are getting an auto response saying, sorry, I'm not here, chat to Ant, who's my right-wing guy for any of these kinds of jobs. Okay, if it's a wedding, then chat to XYZ. And if it's something that's absolutely desperate and you 100% need to get hold of me, shame. Unfortunately, I'm away for 2 weeks. You can manage, you can survive. Yeah, I don't know. It is an interesting topic, because I've always also felt that being an entrepreneur. My dad once told me this story. He comes from a banking world, and he was out on a dinner. I'm going to get the name of whoever it is wrong, but I think it was the guy, he started Ocean Basket or something like that. And so, Ocean Basket's this massive food chain, and there's Ocean Baskets all over the whole flipping country, say 100 or 200 Ocean Baskets. And this guy, every time he goes on holiday, his phone's always on, because if one of the shops or one of the restaurants need him, the business survives and is successful because he's, as you said, his finger is still on the pulse. He's still contactable to solve problems that need to be solved. And I feel like running any kind of business is it's necessary to have that. We're very much the same kind of person. Well, I have a repeat client or a big client of mine who I've been servicing for 4 years. They phone me now and say, hey, can you shoot tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock? And if I don't have another shoot at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'll be there, And I think that is an important aspect of running the kind of business that we do. But I also think it is important to take a step back sometimes and just completely cut ties to everything. But Ant, if you were to now look back at your career, let's say the last 6 years or 10 years of you actually building this life for yourself, and you could tell yourself 10 years ago, some advice, what would you say?
Probably the thing my wife said to me: save up 3 months of salary. I think there's two parts. I would say to myself, patience, because it doesn't happen overnight. success doesn't happen overnight, and I still don't consider myself successful. Yes, I set many goals and I accomplish them, and there are many successes, but I haven't won the game. And then 2 is, don't chase the hype. I think that happens quite a bit, is that we go and we're like, I remember at one point I was like, I'm going to be a Sports Illustrated fashion photographer. I can't wait to be that. And at the time, that's all I wanted to be. And because there was a big hype around it. That's what the best photographers in the world did. So it's not about the hype. It's about shooting what you enjoy. So I don't shoot like high-end fashion. I don't shoot babies. I don't shoot weddings. So not that there's no profitability in those things. There is, business-wise. You can go do those things, but my passion's not there. So pursue your passion. Mine was sports. I realized that I actually enjoy sports. I love running up a mountain and getting dirty and climbing trees and tripping and having blood dripping down my legs and coming back and I'm covered in dust and my camera is covered in dust. And at the end of the day, I look at my photos and I love it, And that's where I found my passion. And now I just needed to find people who are willing to pay me for my passion. Whoops, I've gone dead here. Oh, there we go. And so I pursued the clients that were willing to pay me for that. And there's plenty really big name photographers in the world who shoot for Red Bull or Nike or whatever. And so to go and say that there's only money in weddings or only money in babies or only money in events is not true. Just follow your passion and start to find ways to make money within it, and be patient about it. And then, essentially my one comment, and I mean, we both sort of did this, is don't go full-time photography until you're ready, until your photography is covering you full-time. You need to, unless you are 18 years old and mom and dad are willing to help you for a year to kind of find your feet. I found having a day job and building my portfolio was the best thing for me, because it gave me the freedom to pursue my passion, harness my skill while still earning money. And then once this was earning enough money, I could continue on it.
And starting to wrap up here, thank you very much. It's been such a joy and a pleasure to have you on the show. I know we're actually really, really close in real life. I consider you to be one of my closer friends. But it's been interesting to hear a little bit more of the perspective of like where you came from and how you think about things. I don't think these are the things we dive too deep into when we have our normal discussions. So thank you. Where can the amazing people on the internet find more of Ant?
Probably only Instagram. I'm at ant_Churchyard, and then that's pretty much the only platform that I really share on, because the rest of my clients know who I am.
Must be nice.
It must be nice. I shut down my website because I was getting no new hits. I was getting all word of mouth. I probably need to reactivate it just for the sake of sharing my work. But follow me on Instagram. Again, 0 unread messages.
What Ant is trying to say is slide into his DMs.
But yeah, I'm always interested to see other people's work. And I enjoy Instagram for that reason. And yeah, that's it.
Cool. Now, Ant, last question for you. If you have like headsets like this on every single person on the planet, and you've got the only microphone that goes to all these people's headsets, what would you say to the world? What would you say to the world?
I've got 2. Can I have 2?
Go for it.
Okay, I'm going to have 2, and they're quotes I've used before, so I feel like I can say my own quotes. One is be yourself and be awesome. And the other one is marriage is like climbing in the Drakensberg. It's damn hard, but it's worth it.
Oh, that's amazing. And thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the chat. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's listened and who's been checking this out. This is another episode of Creatives on Business. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.